Gotta get that out there or what else?
Happy New Year.
Yeah, exactly.
Happy New Year to all. I want to welcome everybody to January 7th, 2021 Wilton Town Board meeting via Zoom. I hope this will be a better year than last. I want to open that public hearing for the open space recreation and pathway 2020 update to continue. Is there anybody wants to speak? You have anybody want to speak?
If any of the attendees want to speak for the open space, if they could just use the raise your hand feature in Zoom or the chat features to let us know you'd like to speak.
I would give a little extra time.
Yeah, we have 14 attendees. I only see Josh. I only see one phone call in. I'm not sure. You want to click allow to talk for them to speak?
So the caller, if you want to speak to the open space plan, you should be able to now.
Just make sure they unmute.
Do they want to speak, Josh?
Doesn't look like it.
All right. I'm going to close the public hearing for the open space and open the public hearing for local law 1 of 2021 beaver dams. You want to read that, Susie?
Do we need to make a motion to close that first one?
I'm sorry. Do you need a motion?
Yeah, we can go ahead.
You need a motion to open and close these public
Yes.
hearings, Mark?
Usually a motion is appropriate. It's not critical. It's up to you.
All right.
I'll make a motion to close it.
You got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, so notice of the public hearing via Zoom, local law number 1 of 2021, Beaver Dams, on Thursday, January 7th, 2021 at 7:01 p.m. So please take notice that the town board of the town of Wilton, county of Saratoga, will hold a public hearing for local law number 1 of 2021, Beaver Dams. Copies of the proposed local laws are available for review by the public at the following locations during regular business hours: Town Clerk's Office, Town of Wilton, 22 Traver Road, Wilton, New York, 12831, and on our website at townofwilton.com. Said public hearing will be held on Thursday, January 7th, 2021 at 7:01 p.m., where all persons will be given the opportunity to be heard.
Anybody like to speak?
Again, please use the raise hand feature and or the chat feature. We do have somebody that wishes to speak. Ms. Stankinelli, if you unmute yourself, you should have the microphone.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm Janine Stankinelli, the property owner at 169 Edie Road. I am here about the Beaver Dam, and I would also first like to make a correction to the December minutes. We did not refuse to allow the beavers to be trapped on the pond on our property. As a member of the community, we have been supportive of assisting the town in managing the potential issue of natural water flow caused by developing a road near a pre-existing water structure. When Supervisor Woodcock contacted us about the beavers, we stated this support again and asked for evidence of the following prior to permitting beaver trapping on our property. 1, evidence that the trapper was licensed and insured. 2, confirmation of who was responsible for payment to the trapper. 3, confirmation that the town or the town agent would obtain DEC permits, evidence that they were obtained when required. And 4, prior notification and location of trap placement to ensure the uninterrupted safety and enjoyment of our family and our guests on our property. As Supervisor Woodcock and Mr. Midkins are aware, we have had and continue to have an ongoing issue with trespassing on our property, thus the increasing potential liability issues for us. Documentation of these items is certainly a reasonable expectation for any property owner prior to letting an unknown entity onto their property. For clarity, we have actually allowed the trapping of beavers on our property several times in the past, and ongoing trespassing issues have created an increased liability issue for us. We were advised by legal counsel to obtain the requested information prior to resumption of trapping of beavers to protect our family's safety from strangers entering our property, enjoyment of our property, and limiting potential liability caused by trapping. Supervisor Woodcock stated that that was okay, and he would obtain a letter stating this and get back to us to arrange trapping. A letter from the town would be sufficient to have stated that they were accepting liability. We did not refuse to let people trap on our property because we do understand that the community needs a safe roadway. The proposed law presents several concerns to us. Pertaining to Section A, where the town may, but is not required, to notify the property owner. What if the town is aware of the dam and doesn't notify the property owner and road damage occurs? Who's responsible? What if the town isn't aware of the dam, as new dams are often built, and who's responsible for that damage? Expectations that property owners will have the skills to recognize and maintain a dam is beyond the expected reasonable knowledge of a property owner and places an undue burden on the property owner. Furthermore, owners of large tracts of land who are elderly and or disabled may not be able to physically access their land safely to scope for dams. Even if one was able to walk the property, there's no guarantee that a layperson would recognize a dam or distinguish a potential harmful dam or beaver activity so that is a risk of the town roads or from a benign one. Again, placing an undue burden and responsibility on a property owner. Other concerns with the proposed law. What is required by the property owner to maintain a dam? What is the definition of dam maintenance? How is the determination of a nuisance beaver determined from a benign beaver? For example, the dam on my property has existed for decades and has helped the ecosystem and has been holding back water from entering Edie Road for decades. Who is to determine if the road's at risk? What factors are determining if a dam is in violation of this proposed law? The flooding that occurred on Edie Road last summer was a result of a once in every 10-year storm. How will road damage from beavers or dam issues be distinguished from an act of God? My presumption is that this can't be determined. As stated in the December minutes by Supervisor Woodcock, the flooding of Edie Road was due to many factors. While the beavers may possibly have been one factor, I cannot tell you that yet. At that point, and up until April of 2021, we have been allowing beavers to trap beavers on our property. So the beaver issue was not contributing to that flood, according to your laws of wanting somebody to access the property to access the beavers. Now, we have also allowed town people to have access to our property to maintain the culvert that is on our property and over the 15-feet line without any problem. So they have been able to do that throughout this. So again, saying the beavers and the beaver dam is the problem has not been a proven entity. More likely, it was due to unusual heavy rain in a short period of time. So who would be responsible then for act of gods, and how would this be determined when this can't possibly be determined? I have lived on this property for 8 years now. It's flooded once. I used to live down the street, drove up this road for 5 years before we moved here. Never saw it flooded. So I can speak back to about 12 to 13 years that there was never any flooding problem there. Why is this law limited to beaver dams? What if a child or other trespasser built on my property? I have 24 acres and I can't be patrolling all of it at all the times. Without my or the town's knowledge, who's responsible for that damage? If a new dam is built after the town and the property owner surveyed the property, who's responsible for that damage? In summary, this law appears to place an undue burden on property owners for long existing natural occurrences, which are beyond the control of the property owner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
We do have another attendee that would like to speak. I'm going to open her mic now. Sorry, hang on a second. Ms. Strum, if you could unmute yourself, you should have the mic.
Okay. Am I on?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you are.
Okay. All right. My name is Tony Sturm. I live at 41 Parkhurst Road. I first would like to start by requesting an extension to the finalization of this law. I'm very interested in beavers and wetlands and found out about this just last night and really have not had adequate time. And I think that's the feeling from several other people that I've spoken to. So I respectfully request that there's an additional 1 month before the board finalizes the law and votes on it. So I would like to speak briefly on the general importance of beavers. They are a keystone species. We nearly exterminated them from this continent back in the 17 and 1800s in pursuit of money to be able to use their pelts to create fancy felt hats for people in Europe. Beavers were actually reintroduced into New York State in the 1930s. There were only a few tiny populations in very remote areas. Beavers are extremely intelligent and they're extremely social. They live in family groupings. They mate for life. The babies stay with their parents for up to 2 years to learn what they need to know to be able to be successful beavers. Beaver ponds create amazing habitats. On my little beaver pond, I've had great blue herons, a great white heron, green herons, muskrats, otters, beavers, of course, large snapping turtles, and innumerable other species. Beaver ponds have been very aggressively studied in the last few years, both on the western part of our country, where they're utilized to try to mitigate drought, and also on the east, especially in the Chesapeake Bay area, where some entities are using beaver dams to decrease silt going into the Chesapeake Bay, decrease phosphates and nitrates, and there's many studies that show the large benefits of beaver dams, much better than any human-made interventions in causing these benefits. They do overall decrease flooding as well as decrease stream erosion. And finally, there's a humane perspective of allowing beavers into suitable habitat where they don't interact problematically with people. Because once you have a habitat that beavers have identified as desirable, if you trap them out, the habitat remains desirable and new beavers will move in, if not that year, then the next year or the year after, and you have created kind of an endless cycle of killing animals. So I would request that the board put in some more language into the law that sort of further emphasizes non-lethal ways of handling beaver conflicts. There's been several studies showing in townships that switched over to non-lethal beaver control and that it was very cost effective. I will send to the board members links for several of these studies. There was a recent 20-year analysis in Billerica, Massachusetts, where they annualize the cost of dealing with beavers. They had 55 sites in the township. 43 of them, they used non-lethal methods, meaning flow devices, diversion fences, etc., installed by professionals. 12 sites were not amenable to this modality and required active trapping. When they annualized the cost over these 20 years, the trapping sites cost on average over the 20 years $409 a year. The non-lethal managed sites cost $229 a year. So, and that's not the only study that has shown that non-lethal ways of managing human beaver conflict are cost effective. I'd like to comment specifically on this law. First of all, I'd like to echo what the prior speaker talked about when in the third paragraph of your law, you state that property owners shall monitor and manage beaver dams located on their property. How is a property owner able to do that? There is no gold standard for managing beaver dams. What constitutes a dangerous dam, a good dam, a solid dam, a dam at risk of breaching? There is no clear science on this, although experts that I've spoken to, and I've been interested in beavers for many, many years, will say that occupied dams are much less likely to breach in a flood because the beavers actively maintain them. I think that perhaps I think it's unreasonable to expect property owners to actively manage their beaver populations unless the town identifies a site that is potentially problematic. I think the onus of that identification of a potential problem really belongs on the town. Second of all, I think 30 days, if the town identifies a problematic site, 30 days to remedy the problem is really not sufficient. If you're going to do non-lethal modalities, there's two experts. One is in Massachusetts, Mike Callahan. The other one is in Vermont. His name is Skip Lyle. If either or both of them happen to be on vacation or have full schedules, to expect a full resolution of a non-lethal modality in 30 days is a little bit unrealistic, and I would suggest that that amount of time be extended somewhat. Third of all, I think that the town's intervention, if it comes down to that, should also stress a non-lethal modality first, and only if it's not possible to then resort to trapping. And finally, I think if there is a flood or some sort of catastrophic event that causes a large expense to the town, if it's a large expense, let's say $20,000, I think 30 days is not a reasonable amount of time to expect a landowner to come up with that kind of money. And perhaps a time frame could be established that's a little bit proportional to the amount that would be owed. And finally, I would like to offer, on my own property, I utilized one of the experts that I mentioned before, and with the town's permission of both the highway superintendent and the blessing of the town engineer, we installed a flow device in front of the culvert. That was over 2 years ago. It's been functioning beautifully. The beavers have not touched it, haven't done anything there. And I will offer that I will pay 1/2 of the cost for the first 3 sites in this town that choose to install non-lethal beaver interventions on their property. I will pay half of the cost if utilized one of the experts in the field in either Massachusetts or Vermont. And I will finish at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tony, Supervisor Land, I will be in touch with you about this. Anybody else want to speak?
Yeah, we do have a couple others that have expressed the interest. Mr. Humowitz, you are next. If you unmute yourself.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Barely. You gotta speak up.
Okay, I'll adjust the mic. I'm using a headset. My son's from school that I had just borrowed. So I'm going to start out by citing a website from Cornell. It's in regard to roadside beaver screens, like the previous caller had just spoken about. It basically sums it up. It says, keep in mind the maintenance and inspected cost associated with each type of suggested remedy may far exceed the annualized cost of many culvert replacement options. Additionally, increasing the culvert size decreases the probability of plugging by beavers. So in my mind, the problem is the size of the culvert. That is why the town is saying that the pond overflowed and that the culvert jams up and they have a problem maintaining it. Now, I'm going to start out back in 2018, Edie Road was repaved. In 2019, we had extremely heavy rains that caused the water to run over the road, which is what the town minutes reflected from last month when they talked about Edie Road flooding. And that was basically due to outdated road and culvert design under Edie Road. The small existing culvert does not allow for that volume of water. We were getting over 2 inches of water an hour, I believe, coming down at that point. And that's the only time, like my wife had said previously, Janine, that we've ever seen the road flood since we've been here, in 8 years. So that kind of water doesn't come down, every year even. And then I refer to Scout Road Pond, which has a large culvert in the old Boy Scout camp. that would allow for excessive flow, even of that torrential, storm that we had, and it would make it difficult to become clogged by beavers and much easier for the town to maintain. Rather than using the manhole cover that they have out there at our culvert and trying to reach in there and pull sticks out and everything else. It's quite a chore, and I'm sure they don't like doing that. And they don't do it that often. But a larger culvert would allow, even a person my size to get inside there and clean it out. And the beavers would have a tougher time clogging it up. If that's in fact what's happening, the beavers are actually going in there and packing the thing full of stuff. Now, point number 3, the road in that case was not washed away. When the water receded, the road was passable and fine. We drove over it. After the storm, the town decided to raise the roadbed to provide a solution, I guess, for the future so that the water could never go over the road again. Removing the dip in the road, effectively creating a dam to prevent the water from going over the road in the future. Not to repair damage caused by the storm or beavers, as far as I could see. I did not see the road washed out. I'm out there every day. I walk my property all the time. And I could see it right from my bedroom window. So when the town decided to raise the road, that would have been a great time to remove the existing culvert or add another much larger culvert, such as the one at Scout Road, something maybe not even that big, but something twice the size of what they have there now to handle any excessive water. Point number 6, there is a well-known principle of law known as coming to a nuisance. Who I spoke with my attorney, and right away, he apprised me of this. The beaver dam has been in existence since friends of mine from the town of Wilton, who grew up here, who are now in their late 40s, had ridden their four-wheelers as teenagers over the dam. And they told me all about it. They used to hunt back there. They used to ride back there. And we're talking at least 30 years. Many beaver dams in this country have been in existence and unchanged since the 1800s. And there's actually a beaver dam in California that's over 1,000 years old. Mr. Woodcock told me himself that he has walked and hunted the property for over 50 years. I think he said maybe it was closer to 70 years, but he knew every inch of the property and very familiar with it. So before the road was even paved, we're talking, these beavers have been here for a long time and they're not going anywhere. So shouldn't the town have considered the beaver dam in the close proximity of the pond when they originally decided to pave and make road improvements? The pond was here long before the road. The property owner should not be liable for the town's failure to properly design, engineer, and maintain the road. If the town put in sufficient structures to allow the water to pass freely under the road, this would not be an issue. We purchased the property with the beaver dam in place. The beavers don't bother us and we don't bother them. We hardly ever see them even. They provide valuable watershed for many birds and other species of fish and wildlife which live on our property, not to mention the benefit of improving the quality of the water downstream. The beaver pond is very beneficial and beautiful and enhances our land and appeal of our property. As good stewards of the land and environment, we wish to let them be. We don't want to exterminate them. We want our property to remain naturally as it is without the town modifying our land. We originally spoke with Mr. Woodcock about the culvert, and we told him we would allow traps near the culvert structure. And we have, in fact, allowed the trapper that the town sent out to come and put traps in years past. But we did not want them in the back of our property by the dam. We don't want them on the side of our property by our house, and did not want people wandering all over our property. We simply asked for a statement from the town regarding liability waiver for anyone who is not an actual town employee, such as the DPW working on the culvert, which is just regular maintenance. We don't have a problem with that, and we've never given them a hard time about that. Who would we be engaging in trapping, and that we wanted to be contacted beforehand when it was necessary for that person to come onto our property, which I think is pretty reasonable. The town, I don't think that's an unreasonable request, as the town requires waivers for summer camp, birthday parties, insurance, for using the gym or fields at Gavin Park, the Park Fest, and so on. Why shouldn't we have the same protection for people coming onto our property, especially when engaging in trapping where someone could get injured, even if it were a trespasser wandering onto the property? And the town's well aware of the problems we've had with trespassers and all the anguish we've had in dealing with that. Just to establish that our concern over the liability has had precedence and was certainly well-founded. And that's
Richard,
about that's about all I have to say.
Richard, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Supervisor Lant, you and the two ladies that spoke, I've learned a lot. If you would, all three of you get on our town website, send me your name and phone number. Myself and the engineer will talk with you.
Okay. I sure will.
I think we should hold off on.
Well,
Certainly.
let's finish this first. Does anybody else want to speak? Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
I think there's one more.
We have a couple
Two
more.
more.
Just a second. Mr. Horn, you're up next.
No, I hate to rush anybody, but there is a 3-minute time.
For public hearing,
Michael
there is?
Horn. Hello, can you hear me?
Not public hearing.
Go ahead, Mr. Horn.
Great, thank you. Michael Horn, I'm the Conservation Director at Saratoga Plan. I'm on the agenda for a different item later on, but this certainly raised our interest as Saratoga Plan as well. For anyone who is not familiar, Saratoga Plan is the land trust focused on Saratoga County. We've conserved over 300 acres in Wilton and over 7,000 acres in Saratoga County, including a lot of natural areas, farmland, etc. We certainly have lands that have beavers on them, and we've had great success with some of the non-lethal management solutions that were talked about before. So I would second a lot of what was said by Ms. Sturm and encourage everyone to learn more about it. And maybe I'll just leave it at that and offer as well that we'd be happy to participate and share our knowledge and experience with those to the extent that you're interested in learning more. So I appreciate the language in here about non-lethal management being preferred and encouraged. I note that it is listed in the area where property owners shall monitor. I hope that that preference for non-lethal management also applies to the town as you get to abatement of violation in this document. We find that they help preserve the habitat, the wildlife, the natural services, water filtration that was already talked about. They are more sustainable, beavers tend to return, etc. So I don't want to repeat those points, but I do want to just voice that we support them. I also appreciate the comment that it is difficult for a layperson, typical property owner to know and understand what does it mean to monitor and manage beaver dams. That is not a simple, straightforward thing. Most people do not have anywhere the expertise to be able to do that. So it's not clear what that means or what a typical landowner would do. And I guess in addition, some of those situations do take more than 30 days, so that's a pretty tight time window. That point was also made. And finally, I would say that I hold some concern over unintended consequences. When you get to the liability section, it certainly reads that a landowner, a property owner could be facing a large liability, and the concern of the unintended consequence would be this might drive excessive trapping more than is needed. People taking out any beaver activity, beaver dams and so forth that maybe don't pose a risk, but they worry about the potential liability. And so I would just hate to see that happen. I can't say if it will or will not, or what the human behavior would be in response, but certainly would want to bring up that concern. Saratoga Plan cannot take any position on something like this unless we go through our board of directors. So I'm just sharing thoughts and concerns and ideas. We would welcome more time to take this to our board of directors that they could discuss it if Saratoga Plan has a particular position. to offer, but I certainly can offer that we'd be more than happy to partner with the town to help find more information and drive that learning process if it would be helpful. That's all.
Michael? You there, Michael?
Yep.
If you would, go on the website and Supervisor Lance, send me your phone number with your name. I'll be in touch.
Will do. Thank you.
And I'd like to,
Thank you.
Supervisor, I'd like to touch on that a little bit, on that last comment, as a landowner, not as a councilman or as part of the town as a landowner. And as you know, we've lived here since like 1974, and I know you lived on Smithbridge Road as well. And behind your house, if you remember back in the 70s, the water was like 8 or 9 feet deep. And it went right behind my house where probably the largest beaver dam in the town was located. Now I look out my backyard and I see 6 abandoned beaver huts where the beavers used to, which was a nice place. It didn't do any damage to the town, but that's when Saratoga bought the land and removed the dam and removed the beavers. So when you get big government involved, we may be looking at a bigger issue. So I mean,
Right.
try
I agree.
to avoid this the best we can and come up with a
Yes.
simple solution.
Right. No, I agree. Done, John?
Yes.
Any other speakers?
We do have one more. Mr. Hale. You have the mic if you want to unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Mr. Hale. I live at 56 Parkhurst Road, and for over 20 years, we've been very happy to host a family of beavers on our property. I only learned about this legislation this afternoon, so I haven't had an opportunity to go through it, and I definitely would like to. I do realize that there are some potentially serious concerns with beaver activity, both beavers that might block a culvert and beavers that might create an impoundment with such a large volume of water that if the dam failed, there would be a large flood that would then go to an undersized culvert, overtop it, and potentially wash out the embankment for the highway. So I do recognize that as a potential issue. And I hope the proposed legislation or the final legislation takes into account the relative balance between the size of the culvert and the amount of water impounded by it, because I think that is a critical concern. So until I can see the legislation, I don't think I can make more comments than that. But I definitely don't want to see legislation that makes landowners very anxious and unwilling to permit beavers onto their property because of the potential liability. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hale, same thing. If you look at the website, give my Supervisor Lance email and send me your cell number if you would, and name. I will be in touch with you. He's off. Anybody else?
We have 2 callers. I'm going to go ahead and open up both of their mics in case they want to speak. So either caller, if you want to make a comment.
Looks like they're muted.
Yeah, I've unmuted them, but it doesn't look like they wish to comment.
Think we're done, Josh?
I think that's it.
Yes.
All right, somebody want to make a motion to close it? the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Third.
Thank you all. Start the regular meeting with a pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag. United States of America.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Susie.
Supervisor Lant,
Here.
Deputy Supervisor McEachran,
Here.
Councilman Bogardus,
Here.
Councilwoman Colligan,
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Let me, want to make a motion to close the public comment.
I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing and public comment.
Oh, wait a minute. Are we closing this thing or are we going to extend
Did
it?
already. I'm pretty sure.
Public comment period.
You're talking about two different things. Supervisor's talking about public comments at our town board meeting in general.
Yep, I'm proposal to close that.
Okay.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did everybody get a chance to look at the resolutions for 2021?
Yes. For the record, I sent.
I know, I got that, Ray.
Yeah.
You want to just
Includes
vote on 21 to 25? All us vote on them?
1 to 25.
Yep. Get a motion to accept them?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
About 28 to 59, I need a motion to accept them. Get a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. Okay, well, this was separate for, they both do with banking. Let's do them both together, 26 and 27. We want to make a motion to accept them.
Make the motion to accept them.
About second.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
You
one-
abstain, Ray?
Yes, one abstention.
All right. Thank you. Passed. We want to everybody get a chance to look at last month's minutes, and somebody want to make a motion to accept them?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed.
Can I go back one real quick to that resolution, the banking stuff?
Yeah.
I don't think I need to recuse myself, but I certainly want to make it known that Dean does work for Adirondack Trust Company, but we do not have a vested interest or anything, other than employment there.
Thank you.
Is that okay, Mark Shatner?
Yeah, so the minutes should reflect the disclosure. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you. It's on my ethics form too, so I'm not hiding anything.
Okay, number 6, open space pathway and recreation 2020 update. Do you want to speak about that, Ray?
Yes. Over the past year, in fact, it was January of last year when I first met with the LA group and started working on the revisions to this with Ryan. And in the course of the year, and especially in the last 2 months since the public hearing was initiated, we got a lot of feedback from Ryan. We got help from Josh with the maps and other technical issues in the plan, and also a lot of input from Margot Olson, Linda Baker, Wendy Mahaney, Joanne Kleptatar, Maria Traubka at Plan, Mark Marino down at the park as well. Most of what changed in the plan are just updates to the trail systems, updates to improvements that have been made down at Gavin Park, the additions of a couple of projects that are somewhat in their infancy, the Palmertown Range Trail, and also a community forest project, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Let's see. We updated a bunch of charts about demographics, and that's, I don't know, that about sums everything up. The document is also a lot shorter than it was before. There was a lot of repetition in the original draft, and so we pared this down quite a bit so that it's more easily managed and more readable for either town officials or anyone in the town who wants to read through it. Ryan, do you have anything else to add to that?
No, Ray, I think you hit it. As Councilman Ray O'Connor said, it's condensed and a little bit easier to read, and hopefully more people will read it. And, it's obviously, it's a document that I think should be, a working document as things progress with open space trails and pathways plan. And we'll be making modifications, and then eventually at some point, in the future, update it again. So.
Yeah, I noted on the agenda that it says the 2020 update. We're labeling it the 2021 update since we're in January 2021.
I want to thank Ray and Ryan for all the hard work they did on this. We have to. We need a motion. Mark, you have to speak first on the CEQA.
If you want to do secret review of it, I think it's
Do we have to?
I think it'd be appropriate. It's a significant thing, and I think that an environmental assessment form has been prepared, and I think you've all received it. And I think it describes the project very succinctly and very accurately as the purpose of the open space, recreation, and pathways plan update is to establish a strategy for the preservation of the diverse agricultural, historical, recreational, and scenic open space lands that strongly influence the quality of living in the town of Wilton. I think that's a very appropriate description, and it looks like somebody prepared that on November 5th of 2020, a few months ago. And if you want, we can go through the environmental assessment form part 2 questions. This is sometimes ironic because we're talking about potential environmental impacts of something that I think all would likely agree can only have beneficial impacts. But nonetheless, as a matter of T crossing and I dotting, we can run through the questions quickly. I suspect the vast majority will be answered no. There may be a couple of questions that you want to answer yes, that it will impact, that the impact will be beneficial or positive. Is the board ready for me to run through the questions?
Yes.
All right, question 1, impact on land. Will proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. The proposed site is the entire town, obviously.
No.
These are yes, no's. I heard a no from Councilman McCaffrey, I believe.
No. Yeah, no construction.
Okay. Impact on geological features. Proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site, like cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, or caves.
No.
No.
Impacts on surface water. Proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies like streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes.
No.
Impact on groundwater. Proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer.
Nope.
No.
Impact on flooding. Proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding.
Nope.
No.
Not sure what's on the screen. The screen might be the short environmental assessment form, right?
It looks like it.
Yeah, we're doing the full form. Question 6, impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source.
Nope.
No.
7, impact on plants and animals. Proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna.
Nope.
8, impact on agricultural resources. Proposed action may impact agricultural resources.
Nope.
9, impact on aesthetic resources. We're into a couple now that you may want to say yes, but beneficial impacts, but that's up to the board. 9, impact on aesthetic resources. The question is phrased, the land use of the proposed action is different from or in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. There is no proposed project per se, but this might be an appropriate time for the town board to note under subsection G, other impacts, if you feel that it will have, that adoption of the plan amendments could have a beneficial impact on aesthetic resources, it would be appropriate to say that.
So let's say that.
I'm with Ray.
What you said.
Consensus? Okay,
Yes, positive.
okay. 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. We have some in our town. It might be another place to put the similar note.
Yes.
Yes.
Agreed.
11, impact on open space and recreation. The proposed action may result in the question is, proposed action may result in a loss of recreational opportunities or a reduction of an open space resource or as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. The action is in fact adoption of amendments to the municipal open space plan. Again, might be a place to say yes, but with the beneficial impact.
Yes, for the beneficial impact.
12, impact on critical environmental areas. We have none designated in the town of Wilton. 13, impact on transportation. Proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems.
No.
Impact on energy. Proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy.
No.
No.
Impact on noise, odor, and light. Proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting.
Nope.
No.
Impact on human health. Proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants.
Nope.
17 and 18, again, will be a little awkward because the quote unquote project is adoption of amendments to our plan. 17 is called consistency with community plans. The question is phrased in the negative. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. If you say yes to that, you're saying it's not consistent. If you say no, you're saying it is consistent.
No.
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 A loud no. Question 18 of a similar nature, consistency with community character. The question is, proposed action is inconsistent with the existing community character. A yes would mean inconsistent, a no would be consistent.
No.
Those are your questions. You've answered them all in the negative. So at this point, it would be appropriate for somebody to introduce a secret negative declaration motion or a
I'll make a
motion of
motion.
no environmental impact.
I'll make a motion for a negative declaration under seeker.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed.
And I'll make a motion that we approve the 2021 update to the Open Space Pathways and Recreation Plan.
You got a second on that? You got a second?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Number 7, at local law 1, this 2021 beaver dams. You know, I've learned a lot listening to these folks tonight, mainly the first woman which spoke, and I can't use it for an excuse, but, you know, I probably should have read it more than once, but I've been busy with storms and this COVID. But I like to hold off on this until Ryan and I can talk to all these people and do some more research. I think we can come up with a better plan.
Absolutely.
I agree.
John, I have, I wrote down notes and questions that I have too, so I'll kind of pass those along as we
Good.
kind of think through it.
You can sit with them.
Supervisor, I'd like
I
to
can do that
include
too.
Kirk, the superintendent highway, Kirk Woodcock with this because I know, but he's the one pushing forth this
He's the
legislation.
one with he's the one with the small culverts.
So he should be involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of discussion to be had.
Yes.
So
Are we
we're gonna-
tabling this
I
or
would like to table it.
could we get a motion for that?
I'll move to table.
Second.
You know, with everything going on, I like to table at least 60 days, at least, maybe even 90.
Probably at least 60 days.
Right.
Do we have to set a time period, or how about we bring it?
I
back-
don't know, but I just, you know, I don't want to have to rush this month. We're dealing with a lot of this.
Bring it back to the
this,
board. We have a good comprehensive plan that,
'cause this COVID is taking a lot of our town's time.
absolutely.
But I do agree. Well, one thing I gotta do is that the culvert that's by my house is 15 feet wide and 15 feet tall and runs under the railroad tracks. And the beavers were able to plug that off. So, I mean,
Wow.
they're busy creatures.
They are, They are engineers.
That's right.
Brian's
We had the
got
same issue on Lake Elizabeth, but we
Right.
were able to safely mitigate it. That's, I think,
Yeah, and
looking
I'm
at that
not,
legislation, we
So we
can,
got a motion and a second.
We do.
All in favor?
Aye.
I-
All right. Number 8, real property tax law. Temporary suspension, modification, remove requirement for exception renewal through 1/17/21. Need a motion and a second, accept that.
I'll make the motion, we accept it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
9, Saratoga Plan Land Conservation, Vinsec Farm. Ryan, I'm gonna let you and Mr. Horn speak.
Okay, I think the board received an email from me today outlining what's being proposed here for the Vinsec farm. I think everybody realizes that the Vinsecs would like to place their farm in a conservation easement for it to be forever agricultural use. Similar, some of you may recall, Tooker's farm was put in a similar situation like this and put under a conservation easement for forever agricultural use. Similar, the Vinsec family would like to do that. The only, I'll call thing we need to consider is possible parking issues at Gavin Park. The Gavin Park utilizes the open field for overflow parking. And if that land is placed into a conservation easement, it could no longer be used for parking. So been working with Josh Vinsec and Michael Horn on ways to mitigate that. And I'll, if Josh could bring Michael Horn over into the meeting and he could explain the process procedure with Saratoga Plan on working with the Department of Ag and Markets on this.
That land purchased prior to the easement?
Could the land be purchased prior to the easement by the
Yes.
town? If the Vinsec family was willing to sell it, yes. That's
Okay.
Wow, all right, I even have video. Fantastic. Thank you. So thank you for having me here. Thank you for considering this project. My name is Michael Horn. I'm the Conservation Director at Saratoga Plan. I mentioned a bit about Saratoga Plan before. One of the things we do is protect farmland. The Tooker Farm was referenced, about 89 acres conserved. You can see it on the east side of this map that is on your screen right now. Saratoga Plan conserved that land. We hold that conservation easement. That means we have responsibility for enforcing it. The way that these agricultural conservation easements work, as Ryan said, it keeps them available for farming. Their purpose of them is to protect the soils, to keep them open. They preclude subdivision, they preclude development. They preclude uses that would not be consistent with that purpose of keeping the land available for agricultural use. Some residential use is allowed in designated areas by the family. And that, recreational use is allowed by the landowners again. Ownership stays private. This is something that a lot of times people aren't clear on. When there's a conservation easement, it is essentially an overlay over the ownership, if you will. So the Vinsec family in this case would continue to own the land. By way of example, again, the Tooker farm, Mr. Tooker continues to own that land. The owner makes management decisions on that land. The land stays on the tax rolls, things like that. What the role that Saratoga Plan plays in this type of project, we work to get the project done. We seek funding if it's going to be a purchase of development rights. The reason we're here is we're looking for an endorsement of the project from the town of Wilton in support of an application to New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets. They run a farmland protection implementation grant program. So we'd be seeking funding for their program to be able to purchase the development rights from the Vinsecs that would protect it forever as farm. It's a bit technical and eclectic, but that's the essence of it. This certainly is in line with town plans, with the comprehensive plan, with the open space recreation and pathways plan, as well as the update that's contemplated. So that seems to fit nicely. It's a cherished town resource. I know you're all familiar with it, folks love to go there and engage with the Vinsex and get fresh produce and eggs and poultry and turkey and pumpkins and hay and whatever they need. So it really is a great resource for the town. Let's see, a couple other details I want to share about the project. The area surrounded in red on the map is owned by Laura Vinsek. Also south of the railroad towards the east, over by I-87, is also owned by Laura Vinsek, but that is excluded from this easement for a number of reasons, due to its location, its limited agricultural utility, the likelihood of potential conflicts with a right-of-way access road coming off of Jones Lane and other things. The area in yellow is owned by Edward Vinsek, and all of that land is operated farm-wise by Josh and Erica Vinsek as Vinsek Farms. I would like to point out a potential conflict of interest that Josh Vinsek is also employed by the town of Wilton, as you all know, but I want to make that known and out there. Also, I do not believe this is a conflict, but I would disclose that Ray O'Connor is on the advisory board of Saratoga Plan. And the advisory board does not have any say or influence or voting rights within Saratoga Plan. They're simply for advisory on an as-needed basis, but I want to disclose that relationship as well. I would be more than happy to answer questions. There is an ongoing conversation about the parking that Ryan brought up. The town has been leasing area in the field from the Vinsex in the past. You all probably know more history than I do. And parking is a perennial problem over at the town park there, especially during larger events and so forth. My family and I enjoy the park quite often with sports and recreation and whatnot, so I'm certainly familiar with that as well. Let me pause here and see if there are any questions, whether it's about plan, whether it's about agricultural conservation easements, or any of the above.
So, Mike, what specifically are you looking for from the town board today?
Yeah, so Ray, what I was hoping to get is an endorsement in the form of a resolution by the town. And I'm not sure we can do that because we haven't quite got to a resolution around that parking question.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan and I have been actively debating this we've been talking about the project since earlier in December, but quite actively debating this parking question. So I'm not sure if the town could endorse this project with a bit of uncertainty around what that final plan looks like, or if the plan needs to be finalized around that area.
Is that field part of the plan?
It is, yes. If the area next to Gavin Park on Lewis Lane, right? Lewis Drive?
Yep.
Yes, that right now, as drawn on this map, it's included in the conservation easement. Part of the conversation we've been having along with the Vinsek family is whether it could be excluded from the easement, and it could. That is something we could explore, such that, let's say, a certain portion of land could be excluded from the conservation easement, meaning it would not be subject to the conditions that would preclude parking on a protected farm field. If we do
I've got
that,
some questions I'm waiting to get back from the Vensex.
okay,
I think we all know what they are, so I myself would like to hold off for a month or two before we make a decision. I'm for, preserving our farms and all that.
Absolutely.
Big believer in that.
I thought we were utilizing the park for the parking. That we weren't, I thought we were going to utilize the park for the parking on these large events.
Yeah, but it still ain't enough room.
No, even if we remove all right, I don't want to discuss, I'll sit down with Ryan on it.
Yeah, John, I sent out an email earlier with a PDF attachment that kind of shows something that is potential, excluding some land from this conservation easement. If the Vinsek family is agreeable to that, then, that's something we could move forward with. If
Well, like I
not-
say, I don't want to make a decision myself right now, and, I'd rather get some facts from them first and then go from there. But I'm a big supporter of farming, believe me. I
Absolutely.
believe we all are.
For the town board, I'd like to state I'm fine with that, Supervisor Lamb, taking some time. But time is of the essence a bit, such that there is an open grant opportunity with a bit of a hold up with New York State funding in the background. As we all know, the state is slow right now. We would like to, as soon as reasonable, get to
Yes.
resolution on this. I know that is not squarely in the town's responsibility, but to the extent that, let's say, this can be resolved in the next roughly 2 weeks or so, it would be extremely beneficial in order to get in line for what is essentially first come, first serve funding opportunity. So I just want to share that, a bit of a sense of urgency around getting towards getting this grant application in. That is not to create undue pressure on getting a good resolution to the issue.
Can we do an emergency hearing for?
No, it's probably gonna have to wait 30 days, John.
All right, that's what I figured.
Yeah, I know about time schedules.
Yep.
I'm for that.
It all seems great. The only part, we just need to figure out that parking area. Just come up with a solution in there, and I think the
All
rest.
right, we just want to come up with a yes or no and move on.
Yeah, that's exactly. If it's a no, then let's just move forward to conserve it all, and we'll come up with other avenues of making the parking work. Yes, I agree with you,
If
Supervisor.
somebody at least make a motion, we'll hold off for a month and then come back. I appreciate it.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
We have a second?
got a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, pass. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you for your time.
Bye, Mike.
Bye.
And number 10, Saratoga County Community Forest Grant Resolution. That's your baby, Ray?
Yes. We've
You're
got a
owning-
lot of, got a lot of search.
You're ruining my hunting land, thanks.
No, I'm trying to preserve that wildlife for you, John.
Keep making them bigger.
The hikers and the snowshoers and the bikers will chase all the deer to where you hunt.
Yeah.
Off of Route 9, right where Worth Road tees with Route 9, the old driving range there, there's a 202-acre parcel of land. I think it's multiple parcels, actually, much of which is in the town of Wilton, a little bit of it in the town of Greenfield, that is owned by a gentleman whose family has a history of working on conservation projects. And Ryan and I have walked this property a couple of times with Maria Tropka from Plan and the property owner, and also some folks from the Open Space Institute. There are some old logging roads on there, some trails, a beautiful stream, beautiful forests, some historic structures are on the property as well. And so, we working on the concept of having a community forest where everybody from hikers to walkers to mountain bikers to snowshoers, skiers, hunters, whoever else, would be able to utilize this property. And Saratoga Plan would like to apply for a grant through the United States Forest Service to help fund the acquisition of the property. And so I wanted to ask the town board if the town supervisor has a letter that's been drafted, a letter of support, and I wanted to ask the town board to give its support in a resolution to support Saratoga Plan's application for this U.S. Forest Service grant.
What's that, Ray?
Yep.
I'm gonna make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
I'll make a
second.
motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Number 11, Town Assigned Deputy Sheriff Agreement. It's your baby, Ray, if you want to speak about it.
Yeah, I know I had an opportunity individually to talk to each of the town board members over the last few months. many years ago, the town had arranged to have a deputy assigned specifically to the town that would work under the direction of the supervisor and the town board to deal with any public safety issues that the town might be facing. And we haven't done that in quite some time, but in as much as we're still one of the fastest growing towns, in the county, there's always public safety issues to be addressed, whether it's, traffic or, in our town, we've got a couple of elementary schools with, I think, combined more than 1,000 students in them, very active park area. And so the supervisor and I met with Sheriff Zerlo and, another gentleman from the Sheriff's Department. And they also presented us with an agreement that would be between the Sheriff's Department and the town. Maria Moran also attended one of the meetings with us. And so I wanted to propose that we enter into one of these agreements again with the Sheriff's Department.
Now, would this be a temporary 1-year trial, or are we talking?
The 3-year contract, but we can get out anytime. It's like $91,000 a year. You got a deputy, works from like 7 to 4. He's at our pleasure. He does not leave the town unless it's a very dire emergency. He's at our direction of what we want done, post the speed limit, crime areas we think, a drug area we like to patrol.
Yeah. Yes, as the supervisor mentions, the 3-year contract. I think there's a 90-day notice period by either party to terminate the contract. The contract also.
What kind of contract can be broken both ways?
Yes.
That's a contract?
Last time we had a sheriff's deputy, we shared him with, I believe it was Clifton Park or somebody else. This
Right.
deputy is going to be.
It's all ours. It's all ours.
Exclusive. Okay, good.
Yeah, Clifton Park has, I believe, 3 deputies under contract.
4.
4? Wow.
2 shifts.
So do they get a discount?
Yeah, it's $600,000.
Wow.
But, I think we have a pretty safe town, and I would really like to see it kept that way.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Great idea. I'd be happy to make that motion.
Yeah, I think with the schools is what sold me on the idea, because of SRO officers that aren't available anymore. And
Is this in addition to the SROs?
you're saying that they could patrol the schools?
Do whatever we want.
Yeah. Currently, there's an SRO that is assigned to Maple Avenue,
Right.
that has the flexibility to go to Dorothy Nolan and the Greenfield Elementary School. But
Spends most of his time in Maple Avenue and Greenfield, though.
yeah, yep,
But this deputy is in addition to the SRO.
that is correct.
Oh, good.
That is correct.
But those SROs aren't there the whole day.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I agree.
You got a motion?
Aaron made a motion.
A second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pass.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, I'm sorry. So this contract can be broken on either side.
Right.
How is that a contract?
I'm not sure I understand. I'm not sure I understand that question. Many contracts have mutual termination clauses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if we aren't happy with the service, we just tell the sheriff we don't want it anymore.
And if they're not happy giving us a service, they can do the same thing?
On
Right,
some
but
amount
Ray,
of notice.
I just want one person to handle this. Mr. O'Connor will be the liaison. If they're not happy with him, maybe they'll want to get rid of us. So you never know.
If we get 90 days notice, you'll know the reason it was me.
We're going after you, Ray.
By the way, for those that don't know it, I have a law enforcement background. I spent 7 years in federal law enforcement, so I'm looking forward to working with the Sheriff's Department.
Do you carry? Never
Want me
mind.
to see if I can get you a little badge? You want one?
Give them marks.
All right. And then the Ethics Advisory Board appointment, we have Richard Spackman put his name in. And I asked him to do this because we just can't seem to fill that. And I've known him for over 20 years, and I know he's a straight shooter. I dealt with him when he was chairman on the Board of Fire Commissioners, and he always did the right thing. And I would
Not
say
always, what?
on that board. Well, that's you and him, but no, he always did the right thing. He's an honorable person in my book. I'd like to see somebody make a motion that we can appoint him to that board.
I'll make the motion. We appoint Richard Spackman to the Ethics Advisory Board.
That'd be from 1/1/2021 to 12/31/21.
Okay, I'll second that. I talked to Mr. Spackman on the phone. I hadn't met him before, but we had a very good conversation. So
Glad you did, right? Thank you.
I'll second the, although I'll tell you, it was going pretty well until he said, "Now, you worked for Adirondack Trust for a long time, didn't you?" And I said, "Well, I'll tell you, this nomination's in trouble."
You second it?
He seconded it.
All in favor?
No, one thing about him, he will be fair. And I also agree.
Is that 4 members? Did we just, have
Yeah,
we
we
got
still
4 on
need
there
one
so
more.
far?
We still need one more.
4.
And
Yeah.
we need one more.
If you know of anybody,
What party are we looking for?
I don't think it matters, does it, Sil?
Yeah.
Independence Party, we have 2 members. So we could have,
We're good for
we have
anyone.
one no party and 1 Republican. So we could have another Republican, a Democrat,
Just can't be an
conservative.
independent.
Or unaffiliated.
Correct.
Is the Independence Party recognized anymore?
I think it's
Yes.
over.
Of course. We
Well,
get
it's-
Well,
endorsed
they're
by-
trying to get rid of it.
I think there's still an Independence Party, but it doesn't appear on the state ballot anymore because they didn't meet the numbers and the votes or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, I missed that. Is all in favor for that?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Yep.
Pass. 13, Historic Preservation Board appointment. Karen James would like to be reappointed from 1/1/21 to 12/31/25, and she's always done an excellent job.
I'll make a motion to reappoint her.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed. Reappointment of the Wilton Water and Sewer Kirk Malone from 1/1/21, 12/31/25. Same thing. He's always done an excellent job. He's there. He participates. We need him.
Make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. On the zoning board reappointments, we have James Deloria, 1/1/21 to 12/31/2027. He's same thing. He's always done a great job.
Can we do all 3 of these?
Well, you got different dates. You want me to
All right.
read? All right. Can we do them all at once, Mark?
You could say something like move to appoint for the terms listed if you want to say.
Yeah, I'll say that.
I thought you said that.
I thought I heard him say that.
I did on Deloria. You got Jay Raffleberry, first alternate, 1/1/2021 to 20/31/21, and Christian Clark, second alternate, 1/1/21, 12/31/21. Somebody want to make a motion to reappoint all 3 of them to the zoning board?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Wilton Planning Board of reappointment. Michael Dobus, member, 1/1/2021 to 12/31/2027. David, how do you say that, Susan?
Talfamo.
Califamo, first alternate, 1/1/2021 2021 to 12/31/2021, and Michael Coleman, second alternate, 1/1/21 to 12/31/21. Somebody make a motion to reappoint them three.
I'll make
So
a motion.
moved.
A
Second.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed.
Like all Americans, I am outraged by the violence, lawlessness, mayhem.
Who's got the news on?
Anybody got anything on the committees?
Gavin Park's ice skating rink's been filled today.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice.
How about that drainage problem? That's
That's
done?
what I got for there. It's filled up. As far as I was told by John King that it was filled today.
And obviously, we're going to comply with all CDC requirements for isolation and precautions.
I'm not sure whether it's open. I'm just saying that it's been filled with water. But yeah, definitely.
John, what about the drainage they did off the roof, Ryan? Is that complete?
The highway worked on the drainage in the ground. They placed the pipes and the dry wells in the ground. We're just waiting on, I think, 2 more quotes, because we're required to have 3 quotes to put in the gutter system, for the runoff. So that's in the works.
Are the lights done?
I'm not sure on the lights. I have not been in contact. I think Mark Marino is taking charge on that one.
Anybody got anything else?
I spoke with Robin last week. Again, seniors are doing pretty well, just being careful. Just want everybody to know that Frank Prillo at Scotty's gave coupons for all of our seniors for a free breakfast.
Yeah, he told me that.
If they are not comfortable, obviously, going in, he did make it available for them for curbside pickup.
Yep.
So Robin was picking up those certificates and delivering them to all of our seniors right around New Year's. So just want to say thank you to Frank.
Yeah, I stopped here yesterday and he told me I thanked him.
For the free meal or just a stop?
Free breakfast.
Here's something. I paid, okay? All right. I left my coupon home. I'm gonna give it to one of the seniors. Did you use yours yet? Did you use yours? Yeah. No, I thank Frank. It was awful nice of him to do that for our seniors.
Yeah.
Aaron, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you're over 65, are you eligible to be a member now of the senior center and get a free breakfast? I'm asking for.
Right. Are you over 65?
Right.
I'm asking for a friend.
Ray,
I'll call Robin tomorrow.
Ray, if you need a reference, I'll do it for you.
Aaron, I think it's 50 or 55.
Really?
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I think we just added a few new members to Robin's crew.
Hey, Ray, if you need a sponsor, put my name down.
What do you think, Chief? Do you fit the criteria?
Not yet. I got a long time to go.
I'm not talking to you. I know you.
Nope.
Hey, anybody else got anything on any more committees? All right, on our liaisons, Wilton Water and Sewer Authority and Wilton Wildlife Reserve and Park, Ryan Riper, the liaison. Our insurance and personnel will be Nancy Riley. And I want to put Maria Moran on our personnel committee. John McCachran will be Gavin Park and Rex, and he's deputy supervisor. Councilman Bogardus, court system, safety review, are you okay? And American Disabilities. Councilwoman Culligan, seniors and historian. Councilman O'Connor, the highway. Be the liaison with the sheriff's department. I've already explained that to Sheriff Zerlo too, Ray. And I've had a, Joe Burns, he keeps bugging me about things with the veterans, which it ain't a bug, believe me. And I think we should have a committee with them. We could meet, like they got the cemetery, those flags. So would you serve on that, Ray? Because I got some literature to get me home.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
That's a
Thank you
bonus for
all for a
taking
great
it away.
job. Last year, I made some other committees. One was Exit 16 to get some businesses, light industry and that up there. But Aaron and Ray on that, and maybe look at that zoning. I put John and Wayne on, and I know this has been a bad year with this
Yeah.
first 3 months and then this COVID. So, but I would still like to have you, when things get better, we keep on them. Okay?
Certainly.
Mrs. Moran to do the controller's report right now.
I forgot about that.
You did.
Pay the bills.
The fun's over.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Defund the town.
We have just 4 items under our budget transfers. The first 3 are related to the payment of legal fees, and we're just reallocating some existing appropriations over to the legal fee lines so that we can pay those bills. And the last item, number 4, is just an incidental expenditure that came about as a result of CDL testing. So we're just asking for some money to be moved from, again, an existing appropriation to the testing line.
I'll make a motion to approve items 1 through 4.
I'll second.
Third.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you. The second item is that I'm recommending that the town establish a capital assets and equipment reserve fund so that we could accumulate some surplus appropriation that is not needed to be spent. You know, when we have surplus, we should have a plan for how we're going to use that surplus. So creating this reserve fund will enable us to plan for how we want to use it so that when, you know, items come up that we need to spend money on, be it equipment or capital improvements, we have the means to do so without negatively impacting that current year's budget and taking money from fund balance, which we want to avoid. So this would be a type classification of reserve fund, meaning that the town board has to approve the establishment of the reserve fund, but in order to make deposits into the reserve fund, there is no needed approval. But when we make a withdrawal from the reserve fund, we do need board approval. So there will be oversight, board oversight. There will be reports to the board in terms of how the money is being spent. We inquired with the Office of the State Comptroller just to be sure that it is possible to have this broad category. And we also asked Mark Schachner, who was very helpful, and we really appreciate that. Thank you, Mark. Just because we didn't see anything in any existing literature that enabled us to establish a reserve fund that would encompass both capital improvements and equipment. But we didn't see anything that would say that you can't do that. So we just confirmed with Mark and with the Office of the State Comptroller to be, you know, really assured that we can do this, and they said yes. So that's the proposal that we're going to try to do.
Maria, I have a quick question.
Sure.
Setting aside that kind of fund, obviously in the last year and a half, we've had some interesting storms. But same thing with the COVID and our sales tax decrease during that time. Is this reserve fund something that can help fix that budgetarily? Like if for some reason our sales tax were to ever dip because of a pandemic again?
That's a
or
very
is
good
this
question.
actually
Yeah.
for like a capital expenditure?
Correct. It would be for the capital or equipment fund. So it can't be used to plug a deficit. It can't be used to offset a decrease in sales tax. So we have a fund balance policy that enables the town to have an unassigned, unappropriated, unencumbered fund balance. And we included language for 2021 that enabled the town to accumulate up to 100% of our ensuing year's budget so that we have this surplus money set aside to cover exactly those types of things that you just brought up, Erin, which would be, you know, catastrophic loss of sales tax revenue or something that would be 100% of the budget. So we have this surplus that we're carrying to enable us to use it for those purposes. This reserve fund that I'm asking to establish would be to cover capital improvements and equipment only.
Maria, is there a standard formula for funding a capital reserve account of this type, or is it based strictly on our own town's financial standing?
So yeah, it would be based on, what happened during the year, how much surplus do we have that we could increase our deposit to that fund by. There's really not a formula that says that we are mandated now that the reserve fund is established to deposit, let's say $200,000 a year. There's no mandated reserves, deposits to the reserve. There's no mandated formula for the withdrawal from the reserve fund either. So it's basically up to the town board to approve the withdrawal from the fund. And we can increase the amount that we deposit to the fund at any time.
Okay. Or decrease it.
Or decrease it, but yes, with board approval and for that specific purpose for capital improvement or equipment.
So it could fluctuate every year, just
Exactly.
dependent on what kind of year it is.
Yep.
Correct, yes,
Based on the money in the bank.
right.
I'll make a motion to create a capital reserve fund for the town.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And, no, I don't want to, no. And for asset disposal, which is the third classification, Mark Marino from Gavin Park would like to request permission of the board to place a few of his surplus assets. This is in addition to the other assets that he had requested last month. So he's got a 3-point hitch blower, 2 kerosene heaters, a tailgate spreader, and a leaf sweeper that he would like to list on Auctions International as surplus.
I'll make a motion to approve.
A second.
Any of these equipment that he's trying to sell useful and for like buildings and grounds at the town complex?
If Kurt's getting rid of it, it's ready.
It's not Kirk, it's Mark Marino.
Yeah.
I could actually have that conversation with Mark. Yes, I could.
I mean, I'd hate to sell something and, our maintenance guys and grounds guys up at the town hall could use it.
For what they're putting up there, I don't see it, Dwayne. Nobody's gonna use a 3-point hitch blower anymore. They're just outdated. They're going backward. Nobody's blowing backwards.
Yeah, I talked to Scott Harrington, and he's aware of this equipment, and he just doesn't have the equipment, to use it. So he's aware of the equipment that's being sold.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. Did we have the two?
Somebody make a motion on that?
So moved.
Second it.
I can't hear him.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Saw him duck, so I knew that's what he was saying.
All right, I'm going to move now. Okay, thank you, everyone.
And they only got one chair. And they only got one chair here.
That's what happens when you work together for 20 years.
Anybody got anything else to say? This.
21 goes better than 2020.
I hope so. How's everything with you, Mark?
Everything's okay. Happy New Year, everybody. Hang in there.
You do. This COVID, I'm really taking it serious and maybe even overreacting, but I'm taking it serious. And I've just heard tonight there's 2 people, possibly 3, who just passed away in the last couple of days in the town. And Monday, I have a meeting with the county health officer, and we have a new chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Scott Tershner from Moreau. He's a guy who gets things done. His main priority is COVID and helping small businesses of the county. So I'll be meeting with the doctor Monday about some things, and anything new we can share with our residents, we will. And I just want to say Maria and Nancy are doing one heck of a job keeping up on things, and Sue Baldwin keeping things on our Facebook out the COVID, what to do. And I think we're going to change a few things and to help people more But we're lucky we got those 3 girls, a great job they've done. And I've been told that we're better off than most towns in this county with the plans we've done. So I thank all 3 of them for that too.
Thank you.
Bravo.
We just need how do you say his name?
I can't.
Talfamo?
Yeah, we just need him to win next time. We'll get the shots out quicker.
Yeah, I got a call, I don't know if I told you all, with the sheriff's department about Gavin Park. I'm sorry, emergency services, and tomorrow we're going over to Gavin Park for a meeting to look about, because they're gonna have to have, you know, I don't want one spot. I'd like to have 2 or 3 in the town if we can, get everybody done. But the big thing will be Monday at that meeting to get help to administrate all this stuff, so. Thank you all, and let's have another great year for the residents of our county and keep safe.
Thank
You
you.
want to make a motion to end it?
So moved.
Are we going
Second.
to executive session at all or no?
All right.
Were
Is
we
there an
gonna-
exec-
I know Mr. Schachner had mentioned earlier in one of his emails about a possible executive session.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Talk about the litigation.
You don't have to do it now, but we can. It's up to the board.
We're here.
So
We're
you
here.
want to make a motion, go in executive session?
So moved.
I think, does Josh have to create a new Zoom?
Well,
Yeah. I'll have to do
yeah,
a
we're
separate
either
meeting, I
gonna have to kick all the attendees
5?
out or create a new Zoom.
So check our email?
Take 5.
Yeah, I gotta go get my paperwork anyway.
I can finish my ice cream.
Good night.
So are we staying on this one, or Josh, or are you creating a new one?
I'll probably have to create a new one, but do you have to adjourn this?
We have to make a motion to go into executive session. Ray made the motion. Could I get a second? For,
Dwayne made the second.
who did? Dwayne?
Dwayne seconded.
All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
All right. Y'all said so?
Well, Josh, where are we
You're
at?
gonna, you're gonna
For
have
the
to adjourn the
purpose-
meeting too, because the meeting's not gonna be
This
held
meeting's not
again.
closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't be able to keep this meeting open, so we'll have to adjourn this.
Mark,
So
can
what's-
this be, oh, sorry. Could this be
Nope.
attorney-client privileged or no?
It can, or it could be a continuation of the meeting in executive session. Either one is perfectly lawful. Hassle factor wise, it might be easier to just end our public meeting, end our town board meeting with the motion to adjourn second and adopted, and then close it off, and then create a new attorney-client privilege conference, which is not subject to any public notice, which is not subject to any requirements. Nobody has to make a motion to go into it. Nobody has to motion to end it, and you don't have it, and you're not going to record it in any minutes. I don't care. Either one is perfectly
I
lawful.
think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
rescind my motion to go into an executive session, and I will replace it with a motion to end the regular meeting of the Wilton Town Board.
Again.
I'll second his rescinded motion.
Okay. Thank you.
Dwayne's not here to rescind his, so.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye.
Hi.
Got a quorum.
Okay, so